So, like totally unscripted. Uh, like I always have, definitely not a journalist. Just want to chat with you, let you, talk about your program, talk about anything you want to talk about. It's just a conversation. But I would like to start by introducing you. So we do have Andrea Bird, head coach of San Diego Cavers. What year is this for you there as the head coach?
This will be my second year as head coach, but officially this will be my 8th year coaching.
Okay. And you're coming off a CIF championship
Yes.
appearance in the state playoffs. So very successful season in year two. So let's start with talk about how your basketball journey got started. How did you first get involved in the game? What's your first memories of kind of falling in love with the game, or just how you started playing?
Yeah, so the very first time I ever picked up a basketball was in 3rd grade. I know back in the day. I started off, I was a YMCA kid. So that was where I first started basketball. But after that, I mean, you know how that goes. It didn't really turn into anything. And then around 5th grade, I actually started playing with the San Diego Running Rebels. So with Coach Michael Skibby, that was where I guess real basketball kind of started for me. So I started on a girls team there. That went away after a year, and then I was only on the all boys team for 3 years. So my entire middle school career. After that, that was kind of how I started with EBO. Our being the only girl on a boys team, there isn't a whole lot of exposure to girls programs, playing in boys tournaments and things like that. So, back then there also wasn't a whole lot of girls programs. So EBO was playing in boys tournaments because they were beating all the other girls teams that were in San Diego. So it was actually Coach Marlon and Coach Carlos that seen me play against the Running Rebels, and they kind of was like, well, what are you doing? Like, you can't play with boys in high school, so why don't you come on over here? We'll start transitioning you to girls basketball. And that was kind of how it started for me. So in 8th grade, I started playing with EBO, and I played with some amazing players and played against amazing players. Paris Johnson, Precious, Marnisha, Letitia Ridley. Just amazing players. And that was where I developed my love for the game. Was kind of playing that travel ball and everything from a young age. And then from there, I went to San Diego High and Grossman College, and the rest is history. Ooh, I can't hear you, Coach.
Sorry. So I definitely want to talk about your San Diego High days. So a lot of the stuff that I know about those days, obviously some very very good teams, is secondhand. I wasn't here. So tell me a little bit about your playing experience at San Diego High. I know you played with some amazingly talented kids. You played for some great coaches. So talk about your time playing at San Diego High.
So my freshman year started, going into my freshman year. So the summer I played under Coach Marlon Wells, with Paris Johnson, Letitia Ridley. Who else did we have on? There was a crazy amount of people on that team. So I played with them going into my freshman year. However, I never got to play for Coach Marlon in high school because he left. He just abandoned me on my birthday. So if he ever tries to lie, literally on my birthday, that was the news that he told us that he wasn't going to be coaching at San Diego High. So,
I've heard the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great birthday present my freshman year of high school. So he left. And then I played under Coach Monesto, who actually coached against this year in the CIF championship. So she was my coach my freshman year.
Nice.
She coached for Claremont. And then after that's when Lonnie Jones took over the program, and I finished up my high school for him. Because after my freshman year, I didn't even want to go back to San Diego High, and I did, thankfully. That also goes to huge props goes to Letitia Ridley, for kind of saying, we want you to come back, and you're part of this family. And I went back, and I loved it because literally my home school is Mount Miguel, so that's where I was supposed to go to high school.
So I know you've talked. We've talked. Obviously, I coached under Coach Lonnie. Ton of respect. I learned a ton coaching for him. definitely wouldn't have the opportunity to have the head coaching job at Mary Mesa if it wasn't for him. And I know you spoke really high about how he's influenced you. Talk about a
Definitely.
little bit more about that influence and kind of how he helped you as a player, and then maybe how that coaching that he gave you transitioned to you being a coach.
Yeah, and that's what I say. I technically started coaching 8 years ago because I feel like, back in high school, he kind of gave us that reign to do that on the court. He called us like on court coaches. He showed us how to watch film, how to break down film, how to look at things and just give us a better basketball knowledge and build that all around knowledge. So that way, I mean, now that I look at it, I'm like, there wasn't kids doing that back in the day. There really isn't kids doing it now. So like I said, I give a lot of that credit to him because not only did he allow us to play, but he allowed us to, look at a game from a different perspective. And I think that was huge. And I credit that because that was probably one of my best abilities on the court. There wasn't many, but that's probably one of them.
So what about how does your dad fit in this? I know you started coaching at San Diego High under him. He's one of my favorite people in the entire world. Talk about how
He's all right. He's all
influence
right.
talk about how his influence has impacted you as a player and as a coach.
Yeah, so my dad is one of the main reasons why I started playing basketball. He's the one that kind of started me up and moving with the San Diego Running Rebels. So I played under him with Michael Skibby. And that was where I started playing basketball with him. And then Jeremiah Pelaz he's coach at Francis Parker. So that was where I started playing basketball. And then when I went to high school, my dad went to go coach at Monte Vista High School. So he was actually, I believe he was already coaching there before I started high school, I think. Yeah. So he was coaching at Monte Vista because he was coaching the boys program. And then he switched over to girls when Skibby took over the girls program. So he started there, and then he kind of let Coach Lonnie do his thing with me and kept his distance, minus the 5 a.m. workouts every morning.
Conference talks at the dinner table.
Exactly. The rides home and all that. So that was where we kind of got to separate. So it wasn't just us together all the time. And then when I was in college, I was helping him with his programs because that was when he transitioned to San Diego High School with Lonnie. So that was when he left Monte Vista, went to San Diego High in 2011, the year after I graduated. So that was when he was coaching Tia and Amy and all of them. And so I was there helping him out every once in a while when I could. And that was when I started, I guess, my official coaching career.
Is that when you would say that you kind of developed a passion for it or saw yourself doing it maybe long term, or is it later down the road?
A couple years after, honestly, because after I was done playing at Grossmont, I was done with basketball forever, and I never wanted to see it ever again. And I did another year of schooling in college, and that was when I did track in college. And after that, I was getting frustrated with that, and so I kind of went back to basketball, and that was where I finally was like, you know what, this is where our passion has always been. And that was when I really started to dive deep into coaching and started helping him out more, started showing him to more practices, and yeah.
What do you enjoy most about it? What is the thing that gives you the most joy when you're coaching?
Honestly, it's the kids. Just kind of seeing them every day, and it's not even necessarily the basketball part of it, kind of checking in with them every single day, which is kind of hard now, but just kind of seeing them. I mean, I see them more often than I see my family, and vice versa. They see me more than they see their own family. So it's just having that family aspect and doing things like that. And then also when they bring back achievements, whether it be on the basketball awards or academic achievements, when they share that kind of joy with me, it's awesome.
What you mentioned the challenges of kind of what we're going on now, and I've chatted with other coaches about it. How have you managed the challenge of being able to connect with your kids, being able to work out with your kids? How have you managed those challenges and those barriers to just the unreal and unique situation that we're in right now?
Honestly, it's really hard. Trying to find that balance of I don't want to burn them out, and I still want to try and keep them as connected as possible. But just trying to find that balance with them. At the very beginning of all of this, we weren't really doing anything just because we kind of went deeper into the playoffs. So I kind of gave them that break.
Like we lost you. You back. We got you back. All good.
I think that was my disconnection.
It's all good. We're back. So you were talking about the challenges of actually you were talking about how you were approaching the off season having come off a deep run.
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of wanted to give them that break to kind of decompress and let everything sink in of what had happened. And for me, I needed a break from them too. And so once we kind of started back up, we actually just started with Zoom calls. And it wasn't even about basketball. It was kind of, about the racial inequalities going on in our world right now and the social disparities that we're facing. So that was how it started. We started our Zoom calls, our racial inclusivity and equality Zoom calls. So we do those once a week. And it's kind of just a time for them to kind of say whatever they want to say and get off their chest whatever they want to feel, certain things that they can't normally say to their parents or on social media. This is their time to kind of let it out. And so what I was doing was I was having former players and just kind of my friends that are just influential people in San Diego or from San Diego come on and kind of talk to them and let them ask questions. So that was how we started our communication during COVID. But now that we're going up, we've been doing Zoom workouts. So I make them all log on and I watch them run or do whatever drills we have going on. And, we try and do those every once in a while, but just trying to keep them as connected as possible without trying to burn them out. Cause we don't start for a couple months, which is so strange to me.
It's funny. I've talked about this before. I really struggle with, I get schedule requests and people, sending me turn requests. And it's like, I definitely want to play, but then I realize, if 2020 has taught us anything, how can we plan for next week, let alone,
Yes.
6 months from now? So it's been a challenge for me of trying to still stay engaged of, obviously I'm talking to my kids, but just being able to see that the spring is a real thing and trust that we're going to have it and being able to, start preparing the schedule. But like you said, it's a challenge because you just don't know what to expect. I want to talk about,
I saw,
go ahead. Go.
I saw your interview with Coach Curtis from LCAP. You guys are not alone. I haven't finished my schedule either. So
yeah, trust me.
I mean, kind of saying that same things that I don't know. Like you said, it's just so far down the line, and I don't know if it makes me a bad coach too, but
well, no, it's crazy because
I don't want to commit to anything.
Even if this was a normal year, it's only September. So there's in theory, like for me last year, I got hired in August. So this time last year, I was still trying to figure out my schedule. So when you think about in terms of March and April, it's like that seems like so far away. But
seems so far away.
It's gonna be faster than we think, though.
Yes, and I feel like so many things need to happen before we can even get on the court. That like you said, it's just I can't fathom it right now.
So I want to get into your talk about. I definitely want to talk about last season's run, and I want to talk about your team. How you feel about just about your team this upcoming season as well. But you touched on kind of the climate, the racial injustices. I know you've been extremely active. I've been on a couple of Zoom calls with you, that have been run by Jeff Harper, with all the coaches throughout the county. And I know how active you've been. I wanted to get your take. Obviously, we found out about the situation with Breonna Taylor yesterday in terms of no officers actually being charged with her death. It was a charge, I think, with damage to the house next door. But based off the fact that I know how important this has been to you, not just the Breonna Taylor case, but in general, but as a woman, because I know, as watching the WNBA, it's been a huge rally cry within that league.
Yes.
There's been a huge rallying cry, say her name in the NBA. So I just kind of want your take on kind of how you felt, how you took the news yesterday.
Yesterday, honestly, I try to stay off of social media. So I've been trying to limit myself to just my social media intake during quarantine. And I've been trying to advise my kids to do the same. And so for me, I kind of took a day to kind of just process and, really figure out how I felt truly. And honestly, I mean, it's enraging. And I can't stress that enough, is just, we have to protect, all of our women, especially Black women. As a coach of the majority of my players are minorities, I feel like it's one of my responsibilities, to on their and give them the platform to, use their voice and things like that. And honestly, like, hearing, how it turned out yesterday is just everything that I feel like we've been doing and everything that we've been doing towards, like, working towards during quarantine. It's not over. The fight isn't over. And that's what a lot of the kids were talking about yesterday, is that, they just, like they're taking it on their shoulders, like, okay, well, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing.
I know for me, it's like things like this have been going on for years, right? But I guess
Correct.
I allowed myself to become more optimistic just because there's been so much awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I probably would have been better off if I didn't expect something positive to happen or think that there would be a
Correct.
charge. Just, it's like I was almost, because there's been a shift in terms of how the sports leagues are being supportive, and it's all over the news and all over social media, that you get to the place where you think, okay, that we're at the point of change. And then you realize we're
Yeah.
not. We still got so far
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. And
Is that something that you're talking to your kids about?
Yeah, and we actually talk about that a lot. Is that, it's crazy to us that, you see all of our, you know when you look at famous people, or you look at, the athletes that they look up to, like, they're more outspoken than our politicians. They're more active within their communities than all the politicians that you see. Even here in San Diego, we look at who's been active, with socially, social activism and things like that. And, you don't see a whole lot of politicians out there, marching and, just making a voice for themselves and trying to understand where everybody is coming from. And you don't see that. And I think it starts from the top and trickles down, and unfortunately there isn't that support.
And it's not even something that we had seen before. Like, a lot of
No.
times athletes didn't. I mean, you obviously had those athletes. I got a Muhammad Ali shirt on. You have those athletes who were outspoken, but for the most part, you've never seen this large entire leagues of people just being on the same page. So again, it's like you
Correct.
thought that we were headed that way, where we'd start to see justice on a routine basis, and unfortunately, we're not there. What kind of things
Yeah.
are your kids? Are you guys? Because I know one of the things we struggle with is as much as it's great to talk, we got to do things to put plans in action, start making real change. I mean, we can only talk so much. What kind of things are you trying to do with your kids, or impressing them on what kind of things they can do to take action, to make changes within their community?
Yeah, definitely. I can't even take credit for a lot of the things that they have been doing. A lot of that credit is going to go to my senior guard, Delina Salam. She actually, after our Zoom calls and everything, she started her own program. It's called Dream High Black Girls, which is basically just a youth group organization that, creates a safe space for underrepresented women within our communities. And, they've posted clothing drives. They put on 2 different protests. They did one starting in Balboa, and then went down to the police headquarters, and then they did another one starting in front of City College and went down to the waterfront. And so, like I said, I can't take credit for any of that, but that's what they've been doing. She's been trying to rally her teammates, and a lot of the girls go to different protests, and like I said, just giving them that space to express what they're going through and express how they're feeling without feeling like they have to sugarcoat it, I guess, is the best way to put it. Because a lot of the times, we think that kids don't have a voice, and they have a very loud and a very powerful one that, I just want to empower as much as I can. And especially being a woman, I try and preach that to them as well. Not only are you guys young athletes, but you guys are young women. So in our society, I just want to empower them as much as possible.
Well, you're being too modest, because you definitely should take credit just by your presence as a role model. You don't even have to, necessarily tell them to do anything, but your actions are speaking loud, and they're seeing, they're seeing the example you set, and that's definitely a credit to you. So you have to take some credit for that. I'm not gonna let you off the hook, not take
No.
any credit for that.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But like
So
I said, all that and definitely goes to them.
so let's talk about the run. So
Yeah.
we played you guys. Unfortunately, we were on the
Mhm.
wrong end of a really good game. I want to talk about philosophy. So when you played us, you guys you played really fast. And it's funny because I had, I think I talked to Coach Milton right before they played you, tried to get, some scouting report. And he's like, they're going to play fast. They're going to, send two to the ball. And it's like, okay, but you guys it's one thing to have a plan or to say that this is a style, but what I was impressed with is you guys really executed it. And I was really, and I'm pretty sure I told you this, but I was really, really impressed with how well your kids played.
Yeah.
And the level in which they competed and just the energy, like whether it was players coming off the bench that, to be honest, we didn't even have on our scouting report, but hit some big shots against us. So
yeah,
that speaks to everybody being ready when the number's called. So how would you describe your philosophy as a coach? How do you want your teams to be viewed as like a style of play?
I feel like it's going to be so much different this year than it was last year. And I feel like my philosophy changes based on, what personnel I have, because the team that I have this year is going to be completely different to the team I had last year. But, last year, we did a lot of run and gun and, try to turn our defense into offense and go from there. And that was where the majority of our points came from, was off of defensive turnovers and things like that. We weren't a stop, set up, run a play kind of team. It was off a lot of hits and like quick hits and go from there.
Do you feel like that was just playing to your strengths? I guess my question is that what the plan was going into the season, or did that kind of evolve over the course of the season?
No, that was not the plan going into the season. Trust me, I tried to, from what I was always taught, like basketball wise, is that, you play to your strengths. And, for me, like I felt like my biggest strength was, okay, we know this play, we're going to run this, we're going to run this. And, learning that from, my dad. Also, the previous years, that like, okay, we already have a set already implemented, why would I switch it up? But, trying to figure out, who's the best person for this part, that was a little tweak that we made. And, kind of letting the kids like, you know what, coach, this ain't really working. And, kind of making that adjustment in the off season, and kind of scheduling accordingly, trying to make that turn this past year, with just that level of basketball.
So when did you think this team had a chance to be special?
Over the summer, honestly.
Okay.
When we figured out, what division we were going to be in, we immediately pulled up who else was in our division and everything. And, we brought on another coach this year. So Demetrius Matlock, I went to high school with him, and, I knew he was coaching youth basketball. And so, we wanted to bring on somebody else that would help develop like our younger group. But he was a huge addition to our team, and kind of getting back to that, what San Diego high school basketball was. And, because he kind of grew up around, when Jeremy Tyler was there, and just that different environment. So that was what we were trying to get back to.
So,
yeah.
So one of the players that really kicked my butt, this is my weekly where I have to give the disclaimer about being biased. So a player that you had kicked my butt was Maddie Black. I actually had a chance to work with her in her EBO days. Just an outstanding kid. One of those kids always looks you in the eye, always has a smile, just wants to get better. So again, it's tough when you do what we do and you coach club. And you can test it. You just have kids on every team, right? So as much as when I'm playing you, I want to kick your butt. It's hard for me to be upset. Yeah, I can't be mad when kids I really have spent some time with and enjoy are doing well. So talk about Maddie. I know my experience of coaching her was just pure joy. So I wanted to give you a chance to talk about how your experience with her.
Yeah, she made a huge turn over the summer last year. Kind of. At the beginning of the summer, I asked her, what are your goals for this year? She set a hefty amount of goals. She wanted to be our league player of the year. She wanted to win CIF. She wanted to win state. She wanted, there was a long list of things that she wanted. And, as we started to get down to it, every day she was working towards it. She was coming in for extra workouts, coming to get shots up. Just her work ethic was crazy. And, we call her Stuart Little because, she's always just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Always.
And
looks like she's 10 years old forever.
Yes. And like Maddie, are you listening? She's like, yeah, I'm listening. Just totally keyed in. And, she kind of took that role into that leadership role and stepped into it. which was completely different than what she was used to, you know, kind of being the shy, soft, not very outspoken one, and, you know, try to push her teammates to, you know, come to extra workouts, you know, take that extra time and everything like that.
So I know she, again, she played really well against us, but I want to skip ahead to, it was the state,
Mhm.
was it the state game or was it the CIF championship game where she hit the big shot?
Uh, Both, honestly.
Okay.
But it
Well,
was when we were playing at King Drew, she made the pass
that's what it
for
was. That's
the
what it was,
game
the
when, yeah,
pass.
she made the
That's
pass
what
for
it
the game
was.
winning shot. So we were actually up by one with 30 something seconds. So first of all, we had to go to King Drew High School for the second round of state playoffs. So we go up there, we took the bus and everything. And it was a back and forth game the whole night. I mean, you know how out of town referees are, but I can't stress how rough it was. But yeah, so we went up to King Drew. It came down 30 seconds, and it was King Drew's ball. So they inbounded. Elizabeth Beasley, another amazing senior guard. We'll talk about her in a little bit. She got a huge block at the end, and then they tipped it. It went back and forth, and then their big girl got a rebound and finished and put it back in. And so now there's about, I want to say like 17 seconds left on the clock. You know, we inbound the ball, you know, most coaches call a timeout, and it's always been my philosophy, you know what, I can draw up this play and you guys are going to mess it up regardless. So, you know what, go ahead and do your thing. And if I need to call a timeout, I'll call it because I still have one in my pocket. And so Maddie came down the court, and it wasn't a play. Elizabeth Beasley set a screen for Maddie Black. And I'm not even sure how it happened, but Kirasani Mitchell, we call her Red. She came out and her man helped over, and Maddie just made the easy dime. And Red, that was her only bucket of the entire game.
Another kid that I had a chance to work with when she was younger.
Yes.
Another kid, yeah, you just had them up and down your roster. The thing that I remember is that she never seemed rattled, and I think, speaking of what you said about not calling the plays, I know I talk about this a lot with Marlon and Chris, is a lot of times kids don't know how to play basketball, and
Yeah.
the fact that you were able to let them play without not having to call, most kids in that situation are going to be looking to you for help, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that they were able to, first of all, they knew that you had the confidence in them to go out there and make a play, and then actually make a play. Is that maybe something you guys work on in practice, or how did you feel comfortable in that spot, knowing that they would make a right decision without you having to actually maybe call a play?
I have to give that to my dad because, when he doesn't ever call timeouts, he likes to try and fix it on the floor and try and fix and go. And that was kind of my mentality going into that, is that, you know, okay, you know, because there's so many times at the end of the game where I'll drop a play and it will not go how I drew it up, and they will still come out with a bucket just because of how smart they are on the court. And, you know, we try and play as active as possible in practice. You know, we try and go live as much as possible without them getting hurt. Fingers crossed. But just like you said, because they don't play pickup basketball. They don't go to the gyms. They don't go to the rec centers and go play against other players that are better than them. And so we try to emulate that. And, you know, what we did going into playoffs was that, you know, I had a couple of my college teammates come in and they would scrimmage against them. So they're playing against players that are bigger, taller, faster. So Tiana Williams from Southwestern College, also from San Diego High. Brittany Daniels from Eastlake, also went to Southwestern College and San Diego Christian. You know, all these, Samantha Silva, Taylor Williams. So all these players that were coming in and, you know, trying to give them that little bit of the edge, you know, where it's a little bit more competitive for them, where they're not just playing against each other like they've been doing the entire season.
So you it's whenever you have a championship team, you usually can find a team that's full of some, you know, talented but good leaders. And you mentioned some of your seniors. Talk about,
Yes.
you know, we mentioned Maddie. Talk about some other your seniors that were integral in you guys' run last year.
You know, I'm gonna give a lot of my credit to Elizabeth Beasley. You know, over the summer, she said, you know, Coach, you know, I'm gonna get you your first CIF. And so, you know, when she puts her mind to something, you know, there's not a whole lot that's gonna stop her. You know, she was a very underrated kid that a lot of people didn't notice, but she averaged 20 plus points a game, 10 plus rebounds, and again, she still went under the radar. Just because she would do little things that a lot of people don't notice on the court. You know, get a rebound, get a bucket. You know, against our game against Classical, We ran an inbound play, and there was nobody open. She threw it off the girl's back for an easy putback. It's just little things like that, And a lot of the kids, loved her, looked up to her, and she was huge as far as leadership goes. So Elizabeth Beasley, who else did I graduate? Who's now at Cal State Northridge. She was big for us also. She wasn't even planning on playing basketball this season. So having her come back, and I think, trying to get all these kids, like, you know what, this is your senior year. You guys been working for this whole time. Why not?
So let's talk about the CIF championship. It's especially in only year 2, right? What was that?
Oh, sorry, year 1. I made a mistake earlier. This is going to be my year 2 coaching.
Gotcha. So even better, year 1. So it's funny. It's tough because my first year coaching, and I mentioned this in the last podcast, my first year coaching as a varsity assistant, I was at Horizon, and we won CIF. Mm-hmm. And for me, you take it for granted. It's like, okay, year 1, we win championships, and it doesn't matter. We have an All-American. We're going to win championships every year. So, but now the pressure's on of trying to, first of all, once you've tasted, you want it over and over again.
Yeah.
And then the fact that, it seems like it's easier, and, you'll find out as you keep coaching that it's not as easy as it seems. So, but describe that feeling of just knowing when that clock hits 0, knowing you're CIF champion.
Honestly, and it's funny because if you watched, we have one of our parents recorded, all the girls went down to the court, and I didn't move. Like, it was very surreal for me. It was almost like a sense of relief. Is that, like, we finally got here, and it's just like, okay, I can breathe. Like, the clock is finally at 0. I can breathe. And even going up into the game, the 2 days before, we didn't even know where we were playing, because there was, some complications. So that was a little stressful.
I remember that.
Yeah, because we were supposed to be playing at, I want to say, Sarah.
Yeah, and they changed.
It was one of the two.
They changed the date and the location, right?
Yeah, they changed the date and the venue because one of the teams couldn't come out of the desert because of the high winds, so they had to postpone the game. Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember people were mad at us because they were like, well, you didn't post the schedule and for San Diego High. I was like, because we don't know. It just, they rescheduled everything. So
we literally didn't know until the day before. We were trying to, lobby for them to have it at San Diego High. They weren't for it. But no, honestly, it was just kind of like that sense of relief and just like, wow, like, all right. And, it's, I'm going to give credit to Joe Seals, because I posted it on my Facebook, and, I kind of gave them a little bit of props, and he says, Coach, it's not done yet. Like, you guys still got time to grow. Don't let this sink in yet. He said, y'all still got to keep going. Mm-hmm. And that was huge for me, because it was just like, he's right. Like, it's not done yet. We still got to keep a run to making state playoffs.
It's very challenging because it's absolutely a sense of accomplishment, but it's just it's like one step, and you trying to balance that excitement of winning and that feeling of satisfaction, but knowing, like you said, great advice by Joe that you still had a lot more to accomplish.
Yeah, definitely. And go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
And definitely, having that support, and I think that was huge also. Because when I was in high school, both of our programs are good. Our boys program and our girls program was really good. And so, also credit to Coach Baz, trying to get the boys, just in general, just supporting each other, us going to their games, them coming to our games was amazing. Just having that extra support system in the crowd. We went to their CIF game, not literally the night before. And then them coming to ours is just having that extra cheering section, and shout out to our cheerleaders also, who are amazing, and then just our parents, having that support in the crowd when you think you don't have anybody. It's awesome.
No, I can remember when we played you guys. Baz was sitting in the front row. He had Aaron with him, and
yes.
all the kids out there supporting. So no, that's a beautiful thing. I know one of the positives that I think. I hate to say positive, but one of the things that are going to come out of this is the fact that I think because of scheduling issues, I know I've talked about it with our boys coaches, we're going to have the opportunity to play together a whole lot more. Mm-hmm. And it's just as a girls coach, and it's tough to get that vibe and that feeling in the gym that you have, that the boys have. So when you can have them playing after you, it just makes the environment in the gym is so much better when you have those those double headers. So hopefully,
Yes.
you know, that'll be one of the good things to come out of this, is that we'll have those opportunities to play, you know, boy girl double headers again this season.
Hopefully, if they allow, you know, people to come inside the gym and watch.
Exactly. What other players maybe that you haven't mentioned, under the radar players from last year's team that might have made some contributions that might have went unrecognized?
You know, I did graduate quite a few seniors last year. I do have quite a few coming back though, so then I get rid of all of them. So again, junior Queen Johnson, you know, she was huge for us, you know, down the stretch. As much as I yell at her every game, you know, people give me a hard time for it just because, you know, I see how much potential she has, and I see, you know, the work that she puts in. You know, that's why I'm so hard on her. But you know, she was a big inside force for us, and even in our last Madison game that we lost, you know, she came up big for us on defense. You know, playing, you know, she's one of our she's one of our post players. And for her to step up and try and play defense on one of their guards was huge. So her, Delina Salam, who's, like I said, been very active socially, but was our starting point guard last year. So, you know, we get her to come back. And then I have a string of guards. Also, you know, Maribel Cavillo, who's, you know, a 3-point threat. Malia Ward and Ashley Gao, who we lost towards the end of the season due to grades. So hopefully we'll get them back on track, because they were huge for us earlier in the season. You know, losing them towards the end, that was rough. You know, trying to make that adjustment. So yeah, that's why I bring back. And you know, we got a transfer in, and then we got a couple of freshmen coming in also.
What kind of satisfaction do you get knowing, like, I know whenever I'm in that gym, the first thing I notice is the banners. You know, I'm between Lonnie and Marlon, I hear about those banners a lot, probably too much. But what kind of satisfaction does it give you knowing that, having been a part of that coach as a player, that as a coach you're going to be adding one in that gym? How does that feel?
It's good. I feel like I'm not there. Like I can't speak like Marlon and Lonnie can. You know, I haven't put up as many numbers yet, so you know, talk to me in a couple more years and we'll see if I can say the same thing. But you know, it feels good because, you know, I talked to the kids about, you know, what it's like winning CIF and what it was like when I played back then, and for them to experience that as well. You know, there's very few words that I can use to describe it, and it feels good.
What about this upcoming season? I know you said you lose a lot.
Yeah.
And I should know this, but what division are you guys going to be in?
We got moved up, so we're Division 3 now.
Okay. And what about league?
Our league, I think we're still in the same league. We're still in City League.
Okay.
But it got shifted around. So we're playing against Coronado still, Hoover, Claremont, and I'm gonna forget people. University City, I believe. There might be one more that I'm forgetting, but I believe that's everybody.
So how do you feel about the upcoming season in terms of, you know, balancing what you guys lost and then what you come back, and then the expectations of being defending champs and the added challenge of a bump in division?
Yeah, and you know, we've been talking about that recently. You know, that shift in mindset is that, like, okay, yes, you guys did this last year. You did all of that last year, but this is a completely different year. This is a completely different team. So being able to shift that mindset and carry that into this season also, is that, like, all right, people are going to respect you. People are going to come at you guys different. You guys aren't going to be the same underrated team from last year that nobody knew about or wasn't worried about. So you guys are going to have to realize that you guys are going to have a target on your back. People are going to want to come play you. People are going to want to come test themselves against you. But yeah, losing 40 points coming in this year, you know, from Elizabeth Beasley and Maddie Black, you know, trying to figure out who's going to pick that up. That's, you know, one of our biggest challenges, that figuring out how we're going to adjust and do that. You know, but like I said, we do have a good group of freshmen, and, you know, coming in that I think will definitely help with that.
So give me a name or two of somebody you think that's going to maybe step up to that challenge and maybe not score 40 points a game, but help you pick up some of that contribution you lost to graduation.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, we have Kaden Steele, so Joe's daughter. She's going to be transferring in this year. So
I feel like I've known her forever just from the amount of work I've seen Joe be putting in with her. So finally excited to see her get to play for you guys.
Exactly. You know, and we played against her our first game of the season last year, and she scored the first 4 points of the game on both teams, and I was like, okay, I don't know where she came from, but we need to shut her down. So having that mid-range threat and just her positivity also is amazing. So I definitely look forward to her stepping into she's already asking about coach, what about this workout? Who's coming to this workout? And coach, do we have captains already? And she really wants to step into that leadership role. I think right now she's doing an amazing job just with her commitment to these workouts that we've been having as far as club and everything goes.
And that it's good because when you get that winning, like you said, you win, all of a sudden you get those kids
Mm-hmm.
they're coming in ready to play. A lot of times, especially at a public school, you have one or two kids that may have done the club thing, but for the most part, you're filling out with rosters with kids that are
Have
only
never
playing
played
during basketball
before.
season. Exactly.
Exactly.
So you'll start to see that change where people are with that club background, that AAU background, are coming to your school. Speaking of which, when are we going to get you back out there coaching some club stuff with us?
You know what? It's about that time to go. No, I'm just saying.
We need you. We need you.
No, definitely, it's definitely something that I'm very interested in. So hopefully sooner than later.
Don't make me have to keep harassing you because I will.
Hey, tell Coach Martin to create a team for me. I'm there.
I'm on. Say no more. Say no more. So we're gonna wrap up, but I want to commend you. The basketball stuff is great. I'm super proud of you for you guys winning the championship. Again, I could have done without you guys kicking our butt, but all of that aside, the stuff that I see from you in terms of being a role model for your kids and the activity level I see, from your kids, it's a testament to you. Again, I told you the way I feel about your dad. He's one of those guys that's just no matter what is positive. Like I'm sure you probably have different stories.
I got a little different opinion. No, I'm just like
exactly. But for me, it's just always positive. Always has that something positive to say, or just gives you that vibe of happiness. So
man, y'all don't know. Y'all don't know. You guys have it completely wrong.
He has to be proud of you. Again, not only for what you guys have done on the court, but knowing him like I know that the things that you guys are doing in terms of impacting the community off the court probably make him even more proud. So
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely, talking to him and just, I was blessed to, grow up under a great set of parents, credit to my mom and my dad, and just, kind of teach me right from wrong and, teach me to use my voice for the better. And, a lot of that goes to them as well. So, I'm trying to defer credit everywhere that it needs to go.
And I'm not going to let you. So you can keep trying, but you've done a great job. I know it's still very early in what I know was going to be an extremely successful coaching career. I know the people that I talked to, Lonnie, Marlon, everybody in the circle is super proud of you. Actually, when I was talking to Marlon the other day, I was like, I need some more people to interview. And the first name he said was Andrea. Marlon and Bracy, they both told me, Bracy Smith, they both said, hey, get Andrea. And, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Probably because I've been in some Zooms with you that it didn't even dawn on me to do the one-on-one.
We've already been talking.
Exactly. So, this was an excellent choice. When we're done, do me a favor, send me a text with the links of all the things your girls are doing. I want to share them in the link to this video so people can see it and support it and attach it to this video. So again, the stuff that your kids are doing in the community definitely needs to be recognized because it's outstanding to see young people really taking a chance or taking the stance to make a change in their community is what definitely. We really, really need, because there's so many bad news stories that we really got to focus in on some of the good stuff, and nothing better than these kids doing good stuff in the community. So I want to thank you again. I'm so proud of you. Appreciate everything you've done. I'm not scheduling you this year, so don't even try it. But I wish you guys the best of luck. And let's chat again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you again.
We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.